permission to some more tech breakdowns for me. I hope.
You don't want.
And why is that going off? Okay, that's not good. That's not a good sign. Okay. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, back with the Louis B. Free radio show, Brain Food from the Heartland. I am delighted to have returning to the show, Mary Lynn Maiscott. Good morning to you.
Morning. Thank you for having me.
So glad, always a pleasure to have you, Bob, together, individually. It's always a blast for me. From my very early radio days, by the way, very early.
Really? With Bob?
20, I don't know how many, 20 plus, 22 years ago, maybe. Yeah, 22, 23 years ago. Wow. So we've got some history. A little bit about yourself, Mary Lynn.
I live in New York City with Bob Rosen, my husband that you just mentioned, and I'm a singer-songwriter. I have quite a few releases out. And I'm also a music journalist. I review concerts and such from time to time. I have something in the Village Voice at the moment about Courtney Barnett. What else? We have
That's wonderful. I've always loved the Village Voice. Even, I mean, when I was, God, I don't know. I can't tell you how many years ago. I think it might have been late high school. Always subscribed. That and what was it called? I can't believe I'm at that age where I can remember things many decades ago, but I can't remember something from 15 minutes ago. The East Village Other.
Oh.
It's an underground paper that I left, but I think it's wonderful that you do with a voice.
Yeah, I mean, as you probably know, they had to shut down for a time, but they resurrected and they're in print as well as on the web, which is fantastic.
Yeah, so, I think that's great. It's still in print.
Them a little bit ages ago, like in the 80s. Fantastic. So I'm really happy.
Yeah, and you and as far as the music for you, I've got to mention, of course, Blue Lights, the new Christmas classic for me, and it's one of 3 songs that I have to play before, during, and it's a little sad to play them after Christmas, but it's one of 3 that I've got to play. The other, Christmas in Prison, John Prine, and Tom Waits' Christmas Card from a Hooker. But yours is really uplifting, and it's beautiful, and you know that. You know how I felt about that. That was released how many years ago?
I think it was actually 92. No, I'm sorry. 92 is when I wrote it.
Okay.
So it's his 30th anniversary. Wow.
Wow.
We recorded for release until 2008. Yeah, it was on my CD, Blue Lights.
Yeah, love that. I love that. You know that, how taken I was by that song. Let's move up and talk about Alithia's Flowers. This is so touching. Tell me a little bit about the background, how it, I hate to say came to you, but.
Sure. Well, the Uvalde, Texas school shooting happened on May 24th. And I was reading some news accounts about the surviving children, what their experiences were that day. And then happened to see on Facebook a drawing that one of the victims, Alithia Ramirez, had done. She was 10 years old. Beto O'Rourke had put it on his Facebook page. And then my cousin, who lives in San Antonio, which is not that far from Uvalde, she had posted it on her page. And when I saw it, I just had the inspiration to write a song kind of around it, while also drawing on the experiences of these children who survived. Alithia so sadly did not survive, but the other children mentioned in the song are all real children who survived the shoot.
Mary Lynn, I've got to believe, will you tell me, I would think it would be, it's a beautiful, touching, sorry to get emotional song. I can't imagine, just listening to it and thinking about it, it touches me very deeply. The process of writing it had to have impacted. I would think, and I'm not a songwriter, but if I was something like that would just really weigh heavy on me. You've got to do it, but emotionally in that process. Am I making sense?
Yes, and there was that. I think also it was a little cathartic for me to be able to express something. I wrote it very quickly, usual for me, and then I luckily found, well, I knew, I just met this music engineer producer named Adam Tilzer, and I had gone out to, he has a home recording studio on Staten Island. And I had gone out there just to meet him. He had been recommended to me. And just like maybe a week or so before I wrote the song, and I called him and he said he would make the time to do it quickly. So it was a Saturday and we did it on Memorial Day, the Monday. And then he played me a song when I was there earlier that he produced. And he was talking about the cellist on the song, or was his name. And so I said to him, what about your cellist? I just thought that I wanted to do something just simple. And we had that simple keyboard line, but I suddenly thought a cello with that, can be a mournful.
Yes, very much so. I love the cello. It's very, very powerful. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Elegant is mournful. No, it's true. I felt like that really elevated the song. I'm so glad Ward was able to do it. So that's how it the kind of logistics of recording the song. And then after that, I wanted to get in touch with Alithia's parents before I released the song. I put it on SoundCloud in a private channel for them. So I will say that it was more the aftermath that I found difficult, wrenching, to be talking or not talking. I was kind of messaging with her parents and lovely, wonderful people who immediately allowed me to use her drawing for, in association with the song. They were just wonderful. But just to be in touch with them was to be close to that kind of pain, was just, I mean, it was difficult for me. So,
and that's soon after, when you're saying that you said you recorded on Memorial Day, correct? And you wrote it. So that's you put it together very quickly.
Yeah. And like I said, that's not my normal way. I'm very slow, cautious, thoughtful, listen to a mix a million times, that kind of thing. But I just wanted to get it out there, for whatever it might bring to people. I don't know. I was hoping maybe a little glimpse of comfort or something.
It's very powerful. One of the questions I had, I was going to ask you about the cello, and I really appreciate you saying that, because it is that like mournful sound. I mean, cello, I'm sure people are going to say, well, cello does. Yes, there's a lot of different ways to play or a cello, different styles, I'm sure. But in the song Alithia's Flowers, it's just it's perfect. I don't know how else to say it. It's perfect. And it's beautiful.
I thought so too. I've had software cello on at least one song before. It's on my.
What is that?
It's not someone playing it.
I see.
User can get the sound and.
Okay.
And they're very good. These the software, but it's different. I think I have it on my song Alexander Isabella, but I've never had an actual cellist, play. And he came up with that, of course. So, that was from his own emotional self, or however you put that. I thought that
it's incredible, wonderful song. When you think about how, again, you were talking earlier, Marilyn Maiscott, about connecting with her parents, and again, so soon after, and how, I mean, I'm not going to say I don't know. I don't want to know how someone would process that. It's too, I, I don't, I was going to say, I can't imagine. I don't want to imagine what that must be like.
I actually started crying. I was messaging with her mom. I was so happy. No audio, no video. I just wanted to know that's what was going on. But I just was, I mean, it was so kind of startling in a way. I don't know. It was difficult. It was difficult.
And
And
what, go ahead.
what they're feeling, if you can even say that, it's just so hard to even fathom.
But they were very forward about giving you permission and that it was okay.
Oh, they were wonderful. Yeah, just
wow. Again, so quickly after, I don't even know how they, I don't know.
I know.
I don't know. I don't want to know how you know, and I'm sure they're, I go ahead, save me from myself. Sorry.
Same thing. I go on some social media things with the cult community. There's some community thing, and sometimes it almost seems like it's getting harder for them. That it's, their child is not there anymore. It's just, it's very difficult. And then of course there's so many things associated with it, as with the police and everything, and
Oh, and all the stories coming out about, and they're constantly seeing it, about the failure to act and everything.
Everything, and just sometimes it sounds like they feel like they're not really being heard, and I don't know. It's just awful.
That's got to be very, very awful. Go ahead.
A lot of people came in to help them. It seemed to me. Actually, soon after, a mariachi band from San Antonio came in, and they were playing in, like, I guess it's like a green or a plaza or something. And a couple of people had written what are called, you may know this, I didn't know, corridos, which is like a narrative kind of song. It's a Mexican tradition. And one person, I think, had just written lyrics, and I read those. And they tell the narrative of what happened that day. And another person wrote one that he posted on one of the community sites. I found it so interesting, and again, maybe that's kind of cathartic. And I also, obviously I'm not in that tradition, but I did feel like my song was kind of vaguely like that. I wasn't telling as much detail, but I was telling what happened to a few of these children.
Again, proper words aren't coming, but researching it, looking into it when you were writing it, again, it came together. I'm blown away how quickly it came together for you, and quickly you were in a recording studio. What, less than a week later, or a week later?
Yeah,
24th was,
Saturday, or maybe finished it on Saturday, and we were in the studio on Monday, and that's thanks to Adam. That was great of him.
Yeah, that's again, that's incredible to me. But doing some of the, again, I'm going to call it research, looking into things as you were writing, what was that process like for you?
I actually did it before I wrote, I think. A lot of it was from one New York Times story. I'm trying to remember. I'm sure that I did then check some things, and one of them was from a different account. And I watched some of the local news videos, which was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And the other thing that struck me, and this probably says more about my own age, but a lot of these parents look very young. It's just, it's not like anybody could deal with that well, but
No,
you know,
no, no. At any age, you're not going to deal with that well. But I understand what you're saying. It's an age thing, believe me. And I'm a lot older than you, but it's everybody looks so.
right.
They are young. I'm not saying they look so young. They are young. I mean, they have little kids, little ones in school, so they had to be very young.
The oldest child, she was just turned 10. I mean, it's just.
Oh, yeah, it's horrible. And when and communicating with you, I'm going to say it again and again, I think was wonderful that they were even able to.
Oh, I know. I was
don't know
kind
how I don't even know how you move. I don't know how you're just not like staying in bed or stuck in a chair or just unable to talk with that's incredible that they were able to communicate with you so clearly.
and speaking to reporters and.
Oh, yeah.
And one woman, I have a problem with regret. I really sort of hang on to regret. And did I do this if I had done that differently? And there was one woman who, I'm sorry, I'm not remembering her name. Her daughter's name was Lexi, I think, who died. She said, on this particular day, it was almost the end of the school year. And on this particular, it wasn't the last day, but it was close enough that just like having these events and giving out awards and showing movies and that kind of thing. And she said, I always take, I think she said my children, I'm not sure if she had more than the one child, but anyway, that she would always take her home after these events and not keep her in school for the whole day. And she goes, I don't know why I took her back to school. I don't know why.
Oh, oh,
And
oh,
said,
oh,
I made a terrible mistake. And I thought, oh, this is horrible. This woman now
yeah.
was blaming herself for something that, of course, was just, just a day-to-day decision that you make. It doesn't seem like a deal, but.
Oh, that's, she'll always wonder. I'm
Yeah.
sure why. And I'm sure there's no answers for it, but I wasn't aware of that. And that just has to be something, like I say, something she's going to live with. That's going to, again, I don't know how you get past that questioning. Why did I take her back that day?
The randomness of life.
Really, yes. Yeah.
That much control over so many things.
You wonder why. Yeah. Something like that is just horrific. When she was used to taking her home all the time after the events, and not that day.
Yeah.
The stories that come out, the things that we learn are just, again, when it happens, you think of it in mass. You think of all the, together. Then when you start hearing the personal stories, I mean, it's horrible all the way around. But when you just shared with us, Marilyn Maiscott, how when you hear some of the personal stories, it's just kind of look at it different. Again, I know they were all individual kids. I certainly understand that. And tragic, but then you hear the individual stories and the impact that makes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You see it at first, and it's horrible. I'm not saying it's worse when you hear it. It's just, then you start hearing the individual stories, the parents telling the story. And it's just horrific. There aren't words for it.
Absolutely. And even the children that survived,
And seeing,
they experienced, and one of them that I mentioned in the song, Mia, he has bullet fragment. I don't know now. This was like, after it, several days after it, she had bullet fragment. So her mother was saying, I want to hug her, but I can't because she has these fragments. That's why I have the line, she needs a hug, but it hurts to touch. And just what they experience. I mean, some of it is so grim, I'm not even going to say, but it's just, And these are little kids.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for it to happen to anybody, I get what you're saying. For children, little children, and the other. Go ahead.
Like aware, they were calling 911.
Yeah.
You know, they were playing like they were dead.
Yeah.
Next
Living blood. Yeah.
dead classmates. I mean, you know, just shouldn't happen to anybody. But
Everybody. And to that's something obviously they will live with, and who knows how it's going to affect them.
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
it's obviously it's going to impact them tremendously. You know, you hope, again, I'm all for people getting therapy and counseling, et cetera. You hope that they're all in counseling and getting some professional help with it. Yet, I don't know. And again, I say this respectfully to therapists and counselors. I just don't know how they will ever actually process that. I obviously have to move on. I get all that. Yet, being a child and having that, say, immature brain and seeing that, even for somebody, even if somebody my ancient age, if I was somewhere and witnessed people near me, people that I knew, get slaughtered like that, I don't know that you could ever truly process that. Again, you got to go on. I get that, of course. Yet I don't know. And we'll probably learn the impact that it's made on some of them as years go by.
Yeah, I mean, I hope, of course, that
Of course.
there are all kinds of, when you think about it, probably at this moment, horrible things are happening all over the world.
Sure. Yeah.
Really tragedies all the time. And I guess at least many people, manage or able to, as you said, process it, and
Or what? Yeah.
I'm sure it never leaves you, of
Yeah,
course.
absolutely. And yeah. And again, thinking of that as an adult mind that you may be able to, and I'm obviously not, not a professional, but it's different. We always hear about different, how things process, the development of the brain, et cetera, at that young age, and what that impact will be on them.
Yeah.
Again, even someone my age, I think it would be, again, I don't know how they would help you process it, because, well, it's interesting. I've done, Marilyn Maiscott, a lot of shows on death and grief. One of my favorite books, two authors in the UK, Tsunami of Grief, about how it comes in waves. When you lose somebody, it comes in waves. And I having experienced that, I really understand that personally. It's like, one day, again, this was 30 plus years ago, my father died. It was like, I'm driving home from work, and I'm just, all of a sudden, tears start falling, and I'm really in the car crying, and I'm thinking, what's wrong with me? It's been, I don't know, 2 weeks already since he died. And then I thought, well, he's in my life for better or worse for 39 years. How do you, and it just comes in waves. And how is it going to affect little ones differently? All that, talk a lot about processing grief, but it's always there is actually a kid's book out about grief, yet I don't know how much research there has been done on what happens, especially in something like this. So one thing, if grandma and grandpa, again, I'm not juxtaposing them. It's horrible when you lose somebody that you care about, you're close. This is different.
Yeah. Violent.
And it just, yeah. And again, I keep saying it, for these little brains, these little minds. When you completed the song, and I know I've asked you this before about other songs, like a favorite of mine, Blue Lights. What does that feel like then, to put it, I always have to talk to you about Blue Lights. What does it feel like for you then to, okay, it's done and I'm putting it out in the world? For this particular song, not Blue Lights, this particular song.
Yeah.
These flowers.
Well, I was happy with the way it came out, so that was good, you know. I felt like I have to do this. Like I didn't wait to release it. That could have taken a week or more, and I just put it on SoundCloud so anybody could listen to it.
And they can listen to it at your website also, MaryLynnMaiscott.com. Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. I used to have just the samples of the songs, but I did put them all. You can hear the whole song now. Yeah, and the lyrics are there too. It's on YouTube as well. It's kind of everywhere now, but now that it's been released. But originally I put it on SoundCloud. I put it on a private channel so that Alithia's parents could hear it. I tried to reach the other parents and I was not able to reach the other parents. So, oh, I'm sorry. One of them I did, yes. The one I called Edward. Oops.
Okay, it happens. It happens.
Edward, who was a second grader, who I think I'm trying to remember now. I'm not quite remembering now. I think he just heard the shots. I don't know if the gunman might have tried to get into his room or what, something like that, but he was fine. He didn't, his room was okay. The shooter did not go into his room. But his mother said he's so scared now. I saw a video with him and his mom. They actually call him Tim. I didn't know that, same with Edward Timothy. And the reporters, and I don't think it was that long after it had all happened, said, you know, what would you like to happen? And maybe this was my own self thinking, but I thought she wanted her to talk about gun safety and that kind of thing. But she just said, and again, she looked very young to me, and I could tell she was a little frightened and, you know, not used to being in front of a camera. And she said something like, I just don't want him to be scared. I want him to go to school and not be scared. And she said, he's scared of guns.
Sure. I mean, to be frightened to go to school, to be that frightened and that, again, traumatized at any age, certainly. Again, I have to do like a disclaimer, of course, at any age, but that child, the child, you know, the brain, the processing, of course he's terrified, and I don't know. Hopefully there'll be good help for them. I just don't know how. I don't know how.
I know. Well, the portion of the proceeds, and honestly, I hardly ever make any money from my songs, especially streaming, and you know.
Yeah, it's a different world, right?
Yeah, I have literally got, I mean, I've told you this before, when I've looked at I don't even do this very often, but when I look to see on Spotify, like they give you the rundown of the streams of your songs.
Yeah.
It'll say like, let's just say just as one stream, it'll say 0.0006 cent. It's like this, I can't even measure it, you know, fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a cent. So, but anyway, I am giving at least a portion of the proceeds from the song to Matthew McConaughey's foundation, which is called Just Keep Living Foundation, his UVALDE Relief Fund. He's from UVALDE.
Oh, I see.
Very powerful speech at the White House after the shooting. So I looked into it and I thought his would be a good foundation.
They again, for people to listen to it, it's so moving, and I would urge people to go to your website and listen to it at MaryLynnMaiscott.com. We've got links up also at LouisFreeShow.com, and
it's also on iTunes.
And I don't know, WFMJ.com. I'm not sure all the links these days. What were you going to say? I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to.
It's also no. I wanted to ask you. It's also on what streaming services?
The main services that people use: Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Deezer. I'm not even very familiar with Deezer. It's on Deezer. Pandora. So
on Pandora. Oh, I'm glad because younger people make they don't make fun of me, but I always see the eye roll when I tell them about Pandora, because it's, it's, I guess, one of the older ones. I don't know, but it works for me. It's my musical memory. I'm delighted to hear that it's on Pandora.
We use Pandora. Yeah.
I know it's not the younger hip sites to stream music on, but I know how to use it.
Yeah.
It works for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. It's good. It's kind of pioneer with that whole radio, custom made radio thing.
Yeah, it's interesting how it works. So all the regular streaming platforms like Apple, you said, and Spotify and Pandora
Yeah, and you can buy it, the ones for downloading, Amazon,
at Amazon.
iTunes. Yes.
I am tremendously impacted by it. I've always loved your music. This one is, I don't mean this as a comparison to the other music, because you know how I feel about a lot of your songs. This one is in a different way. I'm sorry, I get emotional when I think about it, in a different way. Marilyn is so powerful, and it's so powerful. I would urge people to listen to it and share it. And when you tell me, once again, I know I'm repeating myself, folks. I do that often these days. The timeline, how quickly you put this together, quickly you got in the studio. I had no idea. I mean, I would think it would be quick if you were in the studio in July.
Yeah, that's how I usually am. It would take. I don't know. I just felt this sense of urgency about it. I mean, I don't know if it's helping anybody or what, but I mean, I think a lot of us do derive something, well, obviously, from music. So, you can hope that maybe it touches someone in some way.
It's touching. I mean, people you'll never hear from, of course, it's touching them. It's touching them. And the more people need to share it and listen to it. Again, it's Alithia's Flower for Children of UVALDE. And again, MaryLynnMaiscott.com. You can start there. And I know you've got links up also. I'm so impacted by this. And I'm grateful that you come on again and talk about it.
Oh, I appreciate you having me on. It's so nice.
Always, you know that. I've loved having you and Bob on for, again, over 20 years. I still remember, I'm going to try to go on a lighter note. I still remember when I asked Bob Rosen to read from Nowhere Man, and Bob tried to save me. He said, "Here, I'm new in radio, no training, nothing. I have no clue what I'm doing about FCC rules, nothing." And I remember my words. And again, he said, "Well, the words in there." And I responded, "I think it's okay. I think it's okay." And of course, the general manager, somebody reported me or whatever, and came in with a letter from the FCC. So, and I don't want to get it, but I still remember that. That was, it ended up being okay. It ended up being fun. I wrote, that it wasn't meant to shock people or offend people. But I always do a disclaimer now. Now I was that
like in 2 a.m. or something also, wasn't it? Like after midnight, I think that was part of the thing where you felt like, oh, who's listening?
Yeah, well, yeah, and what I've learned is you never know who's listening. You never know in any platform, streaming, whatever, you never know who's out there listening. And again, now I do a disclaimer before any of that. It seems to work okay. But again, this is absolutely beautiful. Alithia's Flowers, Children of UVALDE. Go to MaryLynnMaiscott.com or wherever you stream your streaming services. But I would read more about Marilyn and check out her website, MaryLynnMaiscott.com. Always an honor to have you on.
Donation that can, there is the Uvalde Relief Fund that is called Just Keep Living Foundation. There's also, if you just put in like Uvalde Relief, I think there are a couple of others too.
Charities, yeah. But that one, you've checked that one out. And as always, I would urge people, do research before you're giving money to any charity.
Mhm.
You got to do your homework. You got to do your research. Obviously, unless it's a charity that you've worked with before and you know their work. And I'm glad you said that. Just keep living, because I know you've checked it out, and that's wonderful. Thank you so much for being
Oh,
with me again. Let's
okay.
update me. Let's update in a month or two and how things are going with Alithia's flowers. Okay. Thanks, Mary Lynn. Thank you so much. Mary Lynn Maiscott. Again, folks, the song that you need to listen to, it is so